Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Jamaica, and Jamaica Richer. I'm with the University of Idaho Writing Center, and I have Maddie with me. She is one of the tutors in the Writing Center, and we're glad to be here tonight to tell you more about what the Writing Center can offer you as a resource at the University of Idaho while you're here. So just to get started, if you would like to navigate down to the chat bar and go ahead and just put in something that you find challenging when you have a writing assignment, or something that you find challenging about writing. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. So go ahead and take a minute to do that, and we'll see what your responses are. I know for me, getting started can be really, really difficult. How about for you, Maddie?
Yeah, can everybody hear me all right? If you can't, just put it in the chat. I think for me, one thing that's hard is like outlining, or I also agree with getting started. That can be really hard for me too. But the Writing Center helps with those types of things, and brainstorming, and just when you're in a block, or just you can't think about what to write about, or you're just stuck. So yeah, those are some things that at least I struggle with. So yeah, whatever your ideas are, just put them in the chat, and then we can talk about them a little bit more.
All right, and while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and let you know. Good, we've got some things coming up here. Fantastic. So if you have not been to the Writing Center before, or you're unfamiliar with Writing Centers, I always like to tell people 3 things about our Writing Center. The first is that we are a free resource, and we are available to everyone on campus. So you may be learning about us in your first or second year at the university, kind of early on. It's important to know that you can use us all the way through. We work with first-year students all the way through to seniors and even graduate students. Sometimes even faculty and staff will come in to get feedback on projects that they're working on. So we really work with everybody. The second thing that I like people to know is that we work with all kinds of writing. So whether you are in an English class or chemistry class, computer science, we can help you with those projects. We even work with writing that is not a part of a class. You can bring that in as well. So let's say you are applying for an internship, a summer job, you have some job application materials that you'd like some, a second set of eyes on. We can always help with that. So keep us in mind, and don't feel hesitant about what you're bringing in. We can also help with presentations as well. So anything that is writing related, you can bring into the Writing Center. Then the third thing that I think is really important is that you can come in at any point in your writing process. So certainly you can come in with a draft that you want to read through with someone, and look for mistakes if you're at that final stage of the writing process and wanting to do a final polish. But you can come in much earlier too. In fact, a lot of people come in before they've even begun writing. Maybe they want to do some brainstorming, like Maddie mentioned. Maybe they have some questions about the assignment, and they just need to kind of get some clarification and talk through the assignment with someone. All of that's fine. Some people come in just with notes. For example, they've been doing some research and they're trying to look at how to put their information ideas together into a draft. So at any stage of the writing process, don't feel hesitant about coming in, because we can help you out. So are there any questions so far about what the Writing Center offers? If you have any, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will make sure that they're addressed by the time we end this evening. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Great. So this just shows our Writing Center website. This is where you can go to find out more about us. If you go over to Get Help, here in the left-hand corner, you can learn more about the different types of tutoring that we have. Ordinarily, our most popular type of tutoring is face-to-face, in-person tutoring. These days, it's a little more difficult. All of our tutoring is online, but you can still meet with the tutor, talk with the tutor in an online meeting, or you can do something called e-tutoring right here. That's written feedback on, that's especially helpful for drafts. If you're a graduate student or you know of someone who is a graduate student looking for writing support, we also have a consultant who works especially with grad students, and that's what this grad writing assistance is. But when you're ready to make an appointment, you can come to our website. You can click Make an Appointment. There we go. And clicking on this will get you over to our online calendar. So making an appointment is really easy. Once you get to our calendar, you'll be able to see who's available and schedule a session. Our appointments are scheduled in either half-hour or 1-hour sessions. Maddie, do you have any recommendations for length?
Yeah, so I think it just depends on the length of the assignment. I would say for maybe like page length assignments, a half an hour is totally fine. Even you can do maybe 2 pages in that time. It's pretty doable for half an hour. If you have a couple of pages you want to talk about, or maybe do some brainstorming, or just want to do some good workshopping and talking through with another person, I think the hour block is really nice for that, because then you're not rushed for time. You have plenty of time to do things. You can take more time on certain parts of your paper that maybe you're confused about, or you want to just work on more. So those are kind of just the differences. I think sometimes with 30-minute appointments, sometimes it could feel rushed if you want to do multiple things, but maybe if you only have one component in mind, 30 minutes is totally fine. So there's those kind of differences there. Awesome. And then do I need to log in for this part?
Go ahead and do that.
Okay, awesome.
So, so the first thing we're going to do here is, well, the first time you come to this page, and then once you're here, you can always just bookmark it, and then it's really easy to get to. You don't have to go to our website again. Is you want to register for an account. That's this blue link here. That's going to open up a form that just asks a few questions about you. Your email address, you'll want to make sure you use your Vandal email address, your class standing, the college that has your major. If you are taking English 109 this semester, you want to make sure and check whether or not you're in that class. And then how you heard about the Writing Center is always helpful to know. We like knowing how people come across us. So you'll also need to just go ahead and create a password, something that is unique, different to your Vandal email password or your Vandal password. And that'll be just especially for the Writing Center. You can add, you can change your email preferences or add a phone number if you want to get text messages. This can be really nice because our computer system, our calendar system, will send out reminders the night before your appointment so that you never miss them or forget about them. But once you have registered for an account, then you can go ahead and log in. And I'm going to do that now just so you can see a little bit what our calendar looks like.
And so once we log in, we'll actually be looking through our calendar, and then we'll also get to see an online appointment, what that kind of looks like, which is really nice to look at before you schedule an appointment or if you just want to look again. So yeah, so this is our calendar. You're able to see the different tutors that are available, when they're available. we're also able to see what is available and what isn't available for actual scheduling. So if you look at the green and the blue, I can't remember which one is which, Jamaica.
That's a good question.
Okay.
So the green appointment times, those are showing up as, those are for students who are getting what it's called e-tutoring feedback. And again, that's really helpful if you are working on a draft and you want someone, and you have a draft and you want a tutor to make some comments. Maybe you can't actually make it in time for an appointment if you have a really busy schedule, for example. And so written feedback, the e-tutoring can be helpful because you don't have to be there. You just attach a draft to the appointment, and the time of the appointment is the time that the tutor will read and then comment on your work. The blue slots that you see, those show appointments that are for an online session. We call that online tutoring. So that's the difference there. Your appointments will always show up in, this is an appointment that I have made here and for myself with this tutor. And so your appointments will always show up in gold, so you can see exactly where when they're happening. Okay, so otherwise, like looking to another day, the slots that are white are available for appointments, and then the slots that are blocked out or colored out are going to be, those are appointments that are, or times that are already taken. So when should we make an appointment for?
Let's see. How about we do Cindy at 3:30 on Friday?
Great. So to do that, say we're going to make an appointment with Cindy at 3:30. We're just going to click this slot. Okay.
Awesome.
Do you want to tell them about the appointment?
Totally. So basically you're just filling in pertinent information for your appointment. So first off, you want to make sure if you're doing an e-tutoring appointment, which that's an asynchronous appointment, meaning that you're turning in a paper, the tutor has an hour to leave comments and feedback that you want, and then they're going to turn that back into you. So there's no Zoom to Zoom contact, if you will. It's just going to be feedback that you ask for, basically. If you want to do an online appointment, that's the face-to-face, or not actually, but that's the appointment that you're able to see each other, talk to each other over our online appointment form. So you got to choose which one you want to do first. After that, you're going to say what course it's for. So for the example, English 101, English 109, anything like that. So we'll just say it's English 101, perfect. So then you're going to say which instructor it is. If you're not sure, that's okay too. Oftentimes too, if you're even doing something that isn't for a certain class, you won't have an instructor. So no worries there. It's also helpful to say what assignment it is, especially for classes like English 101. It's nice to know what assignment we're working on, or even 102, just because those assignments are we are able to provide feedback for certain assignments just based on what assignment it is. So that can be helpful for us on the tutoring side, and you as well, just so you know what you're doing. Next is the due date for the assignment. That can be helpful for us, meaning, like, for example, if you have, let's say this is on Friday and your assignment's due on Monday. We're like, okay, so we're working on the most pertinent information that you want to get done, anything like that. And then the next box that you're selecting is what part of the writing process are you at for this assignment. And so if we go to the drop down, there's different options. There's just getting started. I've started my draft, but I'm stuck. I have a draft and want feedback on a certain element or section. I'm working on a revision, and this is a close to final draft. For us on the tutoring side, that's kind of nice to just see where you're at, what maybe this appointment could look like. For example, if you're stuck, trying to work through those roadblocks, that can be helpful. Okay, and then the last thing is just telling us a little bit more about what you want to work on. So this would be more specific. So for example, if you want to work on outlining your paper in this example, you want to just say specifically what you want to work on. I would say on the tutoring side of things, it's really nice the more specific you can be, so we know going in what you want to work on. Obviously, for some appointments, such as online, we're able to ask you, but I would say especially for an e-tutoring appointment, it's really important to be as specific as you can for what you want to have us look at, certain sections, so that we can provide feedback to you that you can find most helpful. So like I said, just be as specific as you can, maybe a small paragraph, or like Jamaica's doing, just a couple of lines of what you want to work on is totally good. The last section that's really important for e-tutoring is you want to make sure to attach your paper. Without attaching your paper, we can't actually provide you feedback since the e-tutoring appointment relies on that paper. So just make sure that you do that. I would say that, you know, having document title is always good. You can see that there's no red asterisks on it, so not necessary. And then that's pretty much everything you do. So then you just hit the blue button, create your appointment, and now it's good to go. You'll also get a notification that it was created to make sure that it was. So if you don't get that, that could be an error too, so just watch out for that. And I think that's about it for that, making that appointment.
Yeah, I think you're right. So let's take a look now at another online appointment. Let's say you've made an appointment for meeting a tutor. How are you going to access that? So let's say you have an appointment this evening at 7 o'clock. We will have got to move our participants box here over to the other side. So you just go in and you would click on that time. That opens up the appointment form, like you can see here. And then you're just going to click on this link, Start or Join Online Consultation. And it'll just take a minute for this to open up.
And on the other end, we're meeting with Emma, who is another writing tutor. And so it's starting to open up right now, but one of the first things to check, which is good, is I can tell that she's probably in the appointment already. Oh, or we're having a hardware error, but that's okay. We'll keep working on that.
Let me see.
You might be able to reopen it maybe. Okay, we're going to try it again. Oh.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it does.
I guess we can show the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess one of the issues, we will hopefully not have this issue, but one of the things going on here is that we're already using the camera through Zoom, so this computer won't access the camera for our session. But this does give you a chance to see what the space looks like. Ordinarily, you would see the video feed of your tutor off to the left here, and then a chat bar here to talk to your tutor if the audio isn't working. Maddie, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the whiteboard and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, ordinarily, like Jamaica said, there'd be two little boxes on the left showing your video camera and then the other person's video camera, which is really nice. The other thing with this is we have a whiteboard, meaning that you can take information out or put information in. So sometimes it's nice to just highlight, and you can see that you can take the information that's on there out of the page. You can delete whatever you want. So that's pretty good to know. If you look over on the top bar on the right side, you can see that there's 2 participants in here. So we can normally see that there's 2 participants. And then there's some other small features. So the 2 arrows that are going against each other, where Jamaica's mouse is, that's for exporting and importing information. I sometimes just like to do copy and paste. It's a little more simple, but if you want to, do it correctly, quote unquote, that's how you can do that. Something with this online aspect is whatever information you put in there, it doesn't automatically save, and usually your tutor will walk you through that, but just on your end, it's important to know that you can put information in, you can make changes together, you'll be able to see each other's cursors and it'll be different colors, but then when you're all done with the session, just make sure to either export that information that you worked on or just copy it out. So that's good to know. And then I'm trying to think if there's any other important features. Something that when I'm working on an online appointment, I'll maybe bold things if we're talking about a specific section, so you as the writing 2D knows what I'm talking about. I also like to, as Jamaica's typing, sometimes if we're having technical difficulties, we can talk to each other in the chat. That can always be an option. Or if you don't have a video camera but you have audio, we can make different exceptions and just work with you however you want. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other thing. Is there any other pertinent information about online forums, Jamaica?
No, I think that's about it. When you're done, you can just upload whatever you put into the whiteboard here. You'll click these arrows again and export it, and then you're good to go. So, awesome. Yeah. Let me respond to Emma, and then we'll get back over to Zoom. We'll stop screen sharing, and we'll get over to Zoom, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we can help you.
Awesome. So Emma will just go over to Zoom really quick as well, and we can kind of talk about some of your things that you struggle with as writers, and then kind of our perspective as tutors once Emma hops on here, of how we can help you or how we would work through it. So we'll get that going once Emma gets here, and yeah. So it'll just be one moment and then we'll get going on that part. This would be a great portion. If you guys have any questions at all about what we talked about, comments, you can just put it right in the chat.
Any questions so far?
Let's see.
A couple in the chat.
Okay, looking at questions, right? Oh, awesome, Emma just got in. So Emma, if you'll just turn off your audio really quick, and then maybe we can go back and forth so there's no feedback. Perfect. Awesome. Hi, Emma.
Hello.
Sweet.
Hello.
How's it going?
Well, I've never been hailed into a Zoom meeting before, so that was an interesting experience.
Well, thanks for joining us. This is Emma. She is another one of our tutors here. And yeah, we've got some things in the chat, Emma. People asking questions about, or first talking about what they, I started off by asking what sorts of things are difficult or barriers to writing for them, and we've got a few ideas here and then a few questions. So maybe we can just sort of take turns with them. How about, what do you two think about being succinct or concise? Do you ever work with students on that?
Most definitely, yes. Maddie, do you want to start, or should I, or how we?
If you have an example ready to go for it.
Okay, so I think one of the main things that I have helped students with over in the past, in past sessions, is watching for things like run-on sentences and things that are maybe a little bit too detailed for the paper. So we work on maybe shortening sentences, workshopping those to make them sound a little bit more professional or more concise that way. I worked with people who maybe have written a little bit too much for the paper allotment. And so we need to find ways to make that writing a little bit shorter. So working on things like word choice, like words that aren't as big as others, is something that is kind of tricky that we work on. But yeah, that's one thing I can think of. Maddie, what do you got?
Yeah, awesome. No, those were great examples. One of the examples I was thinking of is also just like, being more succinct would be like filler words, or your example of having a paper that's too long and you have to make it shorter. I know as a writer, I often use filler words just in different ways, like using so or like. And so just making that writing more succinct, getting rid of words that aren't necessary. Those would be some examples of making your writing more concise.
Great. So I see something else here about managing the steps of a large writing project. That is definitely, that can be definitely challenging, kind of overwhelming. Any recommendations for that, or things that, it's definitely something that we can help with?
Yeah,
I'll start off with that.
I
Awesome.
have, oh yeah, this is gonna be, okay, so I've worked with students who need help maybe creating schedules for their papers and kind of outlining like, these are the things that I need to do maybe to start my introduction, or I need to take 3 days to write 3 different pages of this paper. So that's something that I've helped students with, just like sitting down and actually like in their planners mapping out how they're gonna write an assignment. But that could also mean like doing sequential appointments too with us, like maybe little 30-minute increments here and there just to check in and see how you're doing, and maybe like hold you accountable to that schedule that we might have created in the very first session. But right now I'm working with a PhD student who is doing this huge like research thesis for her degree, and we decided to do like a week by week check-in to kind of guide her along that paper. So we do it in smaller increments, so it's not such a big deal to go over like a 10 or 12 page paper, or like even longer at the end of when it's due, basically. So it just kind of makes you pump the brakes a little bit and spend more intentional time on each part of your paper.
That's I'm glad you brought that up, actually. So if, sometimes people just want to come in for an assignment, even a big one, maybe get some ideas about how to break it up, and then they feel good to go. But we also are very happy to work with people on a regular, ongoing basis. So if you ever feel like you'd benefit from having a regular appointment, either like Emma said, to keep you accountable, or you just really want to be able to count on getting that support each week or even twice a week, just go ahead and email the Writing Center's email and we'll get you set with that. So it's very, very easy. Awesome. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Maddie?
Emma kind of covered it all. The only other thing I was thinking about is it's funny, but sometimes even like when you're getting started with a large assignment, even just going back to like the assignment directions, or just what your professor wants for the assignment can be really helpful. I think for some students, they just get so overwhelmed with what they need to do that even when you have a difficult assignment, maybe it's not as difficult because you just hadn't looked at what you need to do. So sometimes just understanding the different components that you need to do for that paper can be very helpful for getting started and then making a plan like Emma talked about after that.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. I see a question about lab reports, and yes, we definitely help with lab reports. Feel free to bring them in. So again, we work with all kinds of writing, so we are more than able and happy to work with lab reports. And then another question is the Writing Center offering in-person appointments? And this semester, our appointments are all online. So you can meet with a tutor online. In a situation, like if the technology wasn't working well, sort of like what we experienced in here, we can very easily switch over to Zoom or switch over to something else. It takes just a few seconds. But for now, just meeting online is what we're doing, and we're looking forward to being able to work with people in person in the spring. So, okay, yep, all online this semester. So we are, a few of us are in the Writing Center. If you're on campus and you have a quick question, or you need help setting up an appointment, you're welcome to stop by. You can also email or call, and someone can help you out that way. Are there other questions? How many of you have a lot of writing this semester? Yes.
Just making sure we didn't miss anything up there.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thanks all for being here, and we'll look forward to working with you this semester. We'll hope to work with you this semester. I guess one thing to add too is just it doesn't always have to be problems. Sometimes it's nice to just get another set of eyes on a piece of writing that you have, even a piece of writing you're really excited about. Everyone who works in the Writing Center is really they like writing, they like talking about writing, they like talking with people. It's a really friendly place, and you'll get great feedback and response to your work. So come check us out. Anything you two want to add?
No, I think that's good on my part.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, come in and say hi, basically, yeah.
definitely. All right. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks again for stopping by.